feel you watching me, pull up across the room. I think you like the view. You gonna make a move. I don't make this easy for you.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Good Luck Sis. I'm your host, Thati J.
I'm your host, Ellie.
And I just want to say thank you for tuning in once again. This is our second episode of the new year. And if you haven't listened to the first one, stop this and go back to the next one. Because I feel like this is not a part 2, but this is also something that I feel like I could have mentioned in the first episode, but I didn't. So we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into that. I think we kind of did all the catch-ups in the last episode, and since then, nothing has changed. So we're just going to dive straight into this episode. And this episode is called I'm Only 5 Years Old. And y'all know Ellie's 29. I'm about to turn 29. And it's like
it reminds me, I'm just a baby.
Because I really am, though.
A little baby. She's like, I'm just a baby.
Am. And like, I saw this thing on Instagram and I reposted this to my story, and so many people could relate that, like, I'm 28 years old and I'm still beating teen pregnancy. Because baby, if I had a child,
it is
at this time in my life, at this age, I would be a teenager in terms of I wouldn't know what to do. Like, it just, because I'm only 5 years old. Like, that's really what it is.
I'm only 5 years old. Really.
Period. So we're going to dive deep. And what started this conversation is that I was having 2 separate conversations that happened around the same time with 2 of my best friends. One of them was Cindy. One of them was with Trisha. And we're all single. And it was just kind of like the pressure that society puts on you to be in a relationship, blah, 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 blah. You look at like our other counterparts, especially like the white girls we went to high school with, the white girls we went to college with, they seem to have it more together. Because as much as you can say as the outsider looking in terms of like the boyfriend, the fiance, the husband, the house, the kids, all of this stuff. And I'm just like, okay.
Let's be real. I think the white girls, when they go to college, not only are they getting a bachelor, but they're also a degree, like a bachelor, but they're also getting MRS degrees. To be honest, they're like, okay, we're graduating and we're becoming a wife after. Like, they don't play about that.
White girl, this is just generally speaking.
Generally,
that's not.
Yeah. I feel like majority of most of the white girls I know,
they're set in that traditional sense.
And honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm just like, I like that for you. But for me personally, looking at graduating after college, if going right into marriage, I don't think that would have been the right choice for me. I was just finding out who I am. Yeah. And I want to stay true to that even when I'm getting married this year too. Like, after becoming a wife, I want to stay true to myself and knowing who I am and, still doing what I like and finding my own identity, after marriage. But yeah.
So since you mentioned that you felt like if you were to like get married right after college, that would be not the right decision for you because you're still trying to figure out who you are. That actually leads into the first topic in terms of like, what age did you feel like your life really began to start?
That's so funny that you brought up the title, I'm just 5 years old. I saw this post on TikTok that said that, what age did you were just sitting there and you were like, why am I here? Like, you started questioning everything. Like, why... who's the people around? Like, when you things just start sitting, you start asking questions, right? For me, I guess that age was, I want to say maybe 10. Is that too early?
That's when you feel like your life started? Yeah. Oh, so life started in terms of like, okay, like, I got to figure out life for myself.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like life.
Okay, like, I'm an adult, but I'm a young adult, but I'm an adult. This is what adulthood is. This is where I'm done with the check boxes that we kind of talked about in terms of school and stuff like that. And now it's like, oh, this is life. I'm pushed out the nets.
Oh yeah. Life started for me last year.
Oh, okay.
Like for real, like, because before it's just you depended on your parents. Like, what most could you, you didn't have no worry. bro, I can't speak, worries. So it's just like, you didn't have to like, you know, you had no anything to worry about, responsibility.
Yeah.
But it's just like, once you're on your own, it's just like, that's when like the focus comes, like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm set. The bills are paid. Like, everyone before was doing everything for you. Now you have to do everything for your own. So that's when like life really started. For me. I don't know for yourself if you can relate.
For me, I feel like life started for me when I was like 24, 25, 26, mostly 25, in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to, like, granted, I still live at home with my parents. There's still a level of adulthood I haven't reached, but I also think adulthood is not necessarily only the financial responsibilities of being on your own. I think it's more, for me, I view it as I'm actually knowing who I am. Like, to me, that's real life adulthood. That's like, okay, like, I am now, the decisions I'm making are the decision I'm making for myself. Because like, when I was in high school, first of all, what freedom and what was I allowed to do? All I did was go to school and come home. College, more freedom, but what was I doing? Accomplishing a degree. Like, my life was planned out for me up until after college, when that's when I had to actually take responsibility for my own life. Okay, I have to find a job. I have to pay certain bills. Like, what is my purpose in this world? Like, it's no longer like I'm getting my hand held throughout the stages of my life. What's next? Whatever is next is whatever I decided for me. This is the first time I could decide how I wanted my life to go.
Yeah.
And when you get into that certain point of your life and you're able to make these decisions and you don't have these check boxes that people have aligned for you, because my whole life was planned out for me up until college.
Right.
It was whatever my parents wanted for me. And ideally, it makes sense because I'm a child. Who's planning my life besides my parents? But then once you get to that point where you're doing it yourself, that's when you start to, okay, who am I? Okay, this next chapter in my life, I can control it. So who am I? And what do I want that to look like? Like, once you get into that responsibility, that's when I feel like you're really becoming an adult, and that's when you're going through your discovery phase of who you are. And I feel like that was 24, 25. Hence, I'm 29. I'm only 5 years. Like, it's only been 5 years where I really had control of my life, where the decisions I made was a reflection of who I was, and the decisions I made was going to contribute to who I will be.
Yeah.
So
we literally just talked about this. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a part 2.
Yeah. It's just the fact that you mentioned and you said to me, like, I can no longer disappoint anyone, you know? And when I really think about it, yeah, it did start for me last year, because even after college, I had goals set that my parents wanted me to achieve. You know, it's just like, now after like I left home and then I was on my own, that's when I was just like, who am I? You know, beside trying to make my parents happy, who am I? Like, that's when like the responsibility and trying to figure out who I am, and more of like figuring out life happened for me, because I was living carefree, y'all. Like, when I really was living at home, it's just like, not only the responsibility, but you just, you know, when someone's controlling your life, really, like, you really don't really think about it as much, you know? It's just like, you know, your parents have expectations for you. You know, they're taking care of everything else for you. It's just like, you don't have to think and worry about life, but it's just like, the moment you're on your own, it's just like, okay, now that you're on your own, you don't have anybody else on your back to have expectations for you. Now I have expectations for myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, and then the reason why I brought this up initially was because it's like, as women, as Black women, you can feel so behind when it comes to the love aspect of life. Like, y'all know, last year I said I was going to meet my husband. Here I am, single. So it's like, you put these timelines on yourself. Society put these timelines on yourself. And it's like, when you look at it, okay, I'm 28 and single. Yeah, I'm 28 years old. I've been on this earth for 28 years. But for 24 and 25 of those years, I had no idea who I was. Like, for 24 and 25 of those years, my life was planned out for me. I had no responsibility. I did not need to get to know myself, because my identity was based off of my parents' trajectory for me. And that's normal. Like, your life is going to be planned out to a certain age by your parents. Like, at 10 years old, what could I do for myself? 16, what could I do for myself? 21 in college, what could I do for myself? You know what I mean? So it's like this aspect of like, oh my God, I'm 28 years old and I'm single and I don't have a husband. Baby, what could you have done for the first 24, 22, 23, 25 years of your life? Nothing. Yeah. So it's like, like I said in the other episode, it's really about perspective, and it's really about really understanding and not letting, and it's hard because I've just got to this mindset and I'm still working on this mindset. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have days where I'm sad, or I'm not going to have days where it's like, oh my God, I am 28 and I'm single. But it's like, bro, like you just found out who you are. Like you just found out, and you're still finding out who you are. And granted, growing and learning and healing yourself is going to be a forever journey. But I do believe there is a point where you get to in those aspects of life where it's like, yes, I'm going to always heal. Yes, I'm always going to grow. And yes, I'm going to always learn. But this is the core essence of who I am.
Yeah.
And everything is just going to build on that. Like, I didn't know the core essence of who I am until the past 2 to 3 years. That's it. So it's like, for us to feel bad about ourselves or to feel sad because we're not at this pivotal point where we're willing to join our life with someone forever, when we just got to know ourselves, it's like, it's crazy because like 28 is so young in the grand scheme of life. Like if we're living to our 70s and 80s,
very young. It's so very young.
Like I said, at this point, more than half of our life was dictated by other people. Like I've only been on my own mentally and emotionally and spiritually for this small amount of portion of my life that I've lived, and the small amount of portion of my life that I'm going to live. So why do we feel like in this slither of time of our life is when we need to fit in such a major, crucial decision? And I really try to like, and I'm not saying this in the sense of like, I'm trying to tell my friends, like, it's okay to be single, stop complaining. It's hard. It really genuinely is hard. But it's like, it's not this big end all be all that we think it is. And we're letting people put in our minds that it is. And we really got to change that mindset.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that it's one of the biggest decisions you can make in your life. Ever. Like, and it's one of the scariest decisions to know that you're picking someone to spend the rest of your life with. And it's not a decision to just take lightly. You know, this is the person who's going to help you raise your children. This is a person that when things get tough, that you guys are going to have to work it out, you know? And I think society just like, okay, at 20, you're supposed to be that cute housewife or working wife that has the husband at 20, and then you have the kids, and they make it seem so easy. But in reality, it's just like the way society, just the way the economy is set up right now. Like by the time you finish school, you're still trying to figure out your career. Like I said in one of our episodes, I just felt like I discovered, like I'm now in my career and I'm okay, you know, and that's how many, like 7 years later.
Yeah. After getting that degree.
Yeah. And I'm confident in it. And now it's just like, I think all the time, like, God forbid I had kids right now, like I cannot balance. I said that to my coworker. I'm like, how do you do it? Like, how do you work and handle kids at the same, like, baby, I'm already stressed and I don't have them. So it's just like society makes it seem so easy, but it's just like, I don't think we should be pressured to rush into these decisions where it's just like, when you're ready and the time is right, it will happen, you know? And I think something we don't think about is just like, when I look back on previous people that I dated, I didn't know anything about relationship, you know? And it's like, just the way to just interacting in a relationship and the things that, you know, how a relationship is built with another person. It's just like, there's a lot of things I didn't understand. And like every person that I dated had taught me something for my relationship now, you know? It's just like, sometimes we don't even know who we are, and we get into a relationship and we're like, yeah, I need to do better. And I think that every season of your life, when you're dating someone or you meet someone, will teach you something to prepare you for that right person that you'll meet and you'll spend the rest of your life with. And it's just like, I think it's hard. Like I said in a previous episode, it's hard when you see everyone is in that place in their life, and they're there. People are getting engaged. People are finding the love of their life. People are getting married. But trust and believe, your time will come when you're going to be falling in love, you're going to be getting engaged, and you're going to be married. I think it's really hard for me to speak on this topic because I never I don't think I've ever had the desire to have a boyfriend. I think we talked about this, Tati, and like I think 2019 I was like, I'm vulnerable and hope to find someone, and I put myself out there, dated, but I never reached that point in my life where I was just like, I want to get married, I want to date. It was just like, oh, it would be nice to like have someone to talk to, you know? And it's just like, thank God to therapy. My therapist is like, okay, who are you? What kind of man are you looking for? And I was like, maybe I should start thinking about dating, like, you know, dating seriously, right? And looking in the right places. So it's just like, I think when the time is right, and it's just like, you have to ask yourself, why do you desire to find that person now? You know? And, are you ready? If that person was to come now, because let me tell you something, like when that right person, when the right man comes along, trust me, you would self-sabotage that. Like,
maybe if you're not ready,
that's speaking from experience. You're like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I prayed for. This is too good to be true. And you'll self-sabotage it. So it's just like, you have to ask yourself, are you ready? And are you preparing yourself to be that best girlfriend, that best wife for that person? So it's just like, we can't be asking and desiring certain things in our life if we're not ready and we're not prepared for it.
And I feel like too, it's just kind of like, I remember like my mom said this maybe a couple of years ago, not that long ago. She was just like, I was like, you know, mommy, like I'm an adult. And I'm like, when are you going to see me that way? And she goes, until you have kids, you're going to be like, you're not an adult. And it's like, it's the Haitian mentality of like, you know, even when you do have kids, you're still going to be their child, but like, you're not there yet until you reach that point in your life. And I understand it in the sense of like, there's certain things and lessons I'm not going to learn until I'm a wife. And same thing until I'm a mother. But to say I'm not an adult because I didn't reach that, it's like, so what was everything else that I've accomplished? And that's the thing, like adulthood has been so like put into the box of wife, mother. That's especially for women. That's when you're an adult. That's when you've made it in life. And it's just kind of like, do you know? So that means a 16-year-old who has kids is an adult and I'm not at 28. Like what is that aspect of it? Because an adult to me is the mindset. It's how I conduct myself. It's how I interact with other people. It's the decisions I'm making. And so to define me not an adult because I haven't reached that. And it's like, what if I don't want to reach? I mean, I do, but what if I didn't want to? So would I never become an adult?
Honestly, it's one of those conversations you have to have with your parents. I think if I was still living at home, I would have to sit my parents down and have that conversation with them. And it would still be hard for them to see me as an adult. My mom had told me that I'm not an adult until I get married. Like, that's when you're an adult. And I was like, absolutely not. And that's just like, I think I wouldn't be the adult I am now if I was still living under my parents' roof. And I think like you saying that you have a better communication with your mom, like, you know, talking to her about that so she can see, you know, it's hard for them because, you know, to believe it or not, you're growing up so fast. Like you were just 5 years old to them and now you're like 28 years old, you know?
But yet I'm 5 years old still. So,
and I think like, I see it when I look at my parents, when I come home, I could see it in there. Like, I'm like, wow, she's really grown. Like she's an adult, you know? And I'm like, I sure am. So, and I see them treating me like an adult now. And I'm like, oh, it feels good. You know, that's when I'm like, that's why I feel like I can say now I'm actually an adult because not saying I need my parents' validation, but it's just like the person who was only holding me back from being an adult, because in the United States, I was already an adult at the age of 18, you know? So it's just like at this point in my life, the only person that, you know, I needed confirmation from that was holding me back from being an adult was my Haitian parents. Because in their culture, you're not an adult until you move out and get married. And even then, you're still a baby until you have your own baby. So it's just like, yeah, it's pretty tough. It's tough.
It is. Like even the other day, my mom was talking to her friend on the phone. I could hear my mom's friend say, oh, Tatiana pas gen ménage.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, I'm 2 degrees. Like, as much as y'all gonna hear me say my job is this, my job is that, blah blah blah, that's just life. People don't like their jobs all the time, always, whatever. Some respect on my name, bro. Put some respect on my name. I don't have your dusty ass son, but I have 2 degrees on my back.
You're dusty because they're dusty out here. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Like
equivalent my self-worth being attached to someone. And the thing is, that's the thing. It's like when they taught these conversations, and granted, my mom she didn't even answer that. And I don't care if she were to say I'm single, but I think she knew what I don't even know, can we call her a friend at this point? I don't even know who she was on the phone with, but she knew that was a dig. Like, oh, your daughter's 28 and single? Bro, yeah, my daughter.
But my daughter,
she got 2 degrees.
Yeah, she has 2 degrees. What's up?
And she helps me around the house. And she's like, and like, one thing I always say, my mom will always say, I am a good child. I will always forever have my parents back. I will help them. I'm not one of those kids where unfortunately it's like, oh, I don't help my mom with bills. I don't do this. That's my mom. Like, I am genuinely such a good daughter to my mother, and she's genuinely such a good mother to me. It's like, and then you have people here who are in relationships and what, granted, there's nothing wrong with getting pregnant out of wedlock. I was out of wedlock baby, but for me, I would prefer to get married. So you want me to what? Just meet somebody, have sex with them, have a kid just to say what? I'm a mom and I have someone for them to not treat me right. And it's just like, I don't know if it's a Haitian culture, and I'm going to be honest, where y'all just took a man to take a man no matter what, no matter if he's beating you, no matter if he's emotionally, verbally, physically abusive to you, no matter if you're unhappy and you stuck by it and that's your decision. That will not be my story, baby. That's a generational curse I am breaking. But I will be single until the man that is meant for me is going to take me. And you know what I'm going to have? I'm going to have myself. I'm going to have my self-love. I'm going to have my confidence. I'm going to have my degrees. I'm going to have my money, because that is what adulthood is. That is being adult, being able to be mature enough and healed enough to make the right decisions for you. That way, when that person does walk through the door, you're able to
be in that healthy relationship. Yeah,
exactly.
But thinking of it, like, do you think that generation even had a choice? Because let's be, they did have a choice. Let's be real. They did have a choice, but a lot of them also, you know, probably growing up, their mother was probably weren't working, or their father was the only one working. And then that's just how they saw things. You know, that's just how society was. So they're probably like, I need to find a man that's going to take care of me. So whatever. So did they even have any standards? The way we have standards in this generation, did our parents even have standards? Honestly, I've never heard my mom. The only thing my mom ever said her standards is just like, she needs a man of God. That's the only thing she ever said. But she didn't have standards the way, you know, like, oh, he got to be educated. He has to be this. There was no other standards. It's just like, he has to be a man of God. And, you know, that's enough. But honey,
baby, that ain't the only thing that's necessary.
That's not the only thing. And like, my mom got married at 22 years old. And, yeah, there was a lot of growth that had to be done. And I just think that back then, a lot of the generation didn't really take their time, because if we were dating for a year and you proposed to me at 23, like, bye. We got to take our time. Like, that's already a conversation. Like,
we're gonna see you in a couple of years.
Yeah,
supposed to mean about 3 more years, baby.
Right?
Like 6 more years.
Let's take our time. You know, there's still growth that needs to be done. So it's just like, I don't think they had a lot of. There weren't these conversations, so I don't think they knew that they had these choices.
Yeah, and it's like another thing that irks me a lot is like, I'm 5 years old and I'm expected to have so much. A man that's 5 years old, he's not expected to have what I'm supposed to be a wife and a mother, but he's supposed to be chilling until he's about 35, and then he can become a husband and father. Like, why is it such an unequal playing field? Why am I behind? Because I'm choosing to focus on myself and truly mature and be my best self.
Yeah.
But I'm still technically too late.
Yeah.
But a man can do all his fuckboy shit, do all of his things, and then be like, okay, 35, cool. Oh, boys just mature less. You guys keep giving these men these excuses and letting them keep skating the line to do people harm,
Yeah.
or to do themselves harm by not being mature enough and adult enough to look into themselves and see why they are the way they are. But you're expecting me to go get these same men that you do not hold accountable, and you want me to go interact with them?
This whole time they weren't preparing for marriage, right? And then they see that they're 25 to 36 years old, like, oh wow, I'm actually getting old. Maybe I should just go find somebody. Hopefully it's the love of their life. But
like, we need to stop, because at the end of the day, whenever I hear like my Haitian parents or family members say little things like that, I'm like, who do you want me to date, men or women? Because you're telling me you and that you know how they feel about talk about homosexuality. Unfortunately, in our culture, a lot of Haitians are not homosexual. Jesus, what am I saying?
homophobes.
Yes, thank you. But it's like, you're preparing me to be this, but you're not preparing him to be this. Maybe if we go together, who am I attracting?
Yeah.
The only person that is at my level is a woman, but you want me to be with a man. I'm going to need you to start raising the man the same way you're trying to raise me.
It's really showing, because a lot of, in our culture, they prepare us to be wives, where a lot of these men are not prepared to be husbands.
So it's like, it doesn't make sense. And it's just like, I had a conversation the other day with my mom, and like, when we have these conversations now, it doesn't come from a place of, you still don't got a man. It's not like that anymore. I feel like in the past it was, but I've had to check her in a couple of things. My mom knows one thing about me. Ever since I was little, respect is respect. You're my mom, but I'm also your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have this conversation. You're not coming at me this way. So we've had to have a lot of these conversations. She was like, oh, you're not talking to anyone, you're not dating anyone? I'm like, no. And I told her about the perfect date guy. Y'all heard the story before. And then she was like, oh yeah, what happened? And then I was like, he wanted me to come to his house. And then she looked at me like, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, I didn't go. And she goes, and I was like, I never heard from him again. And she was like, wow. And like, she understands that the dating world is not easy. And I also think because she saw how much I loved my ex and how much I poured into that relationship and how heartbroken I was, she's also, as much as she's like, oh, just have a child, blah, blah, blah. She's also doesn't want me to just jump into anything, because she knows how much of a good person I am and how much I will love and care and give. And she knows I deserve that. So she's now on the tip of like, okay, if he's not the right one, it's okay, slow down. But she also is on the tip of like, you might be a little bit too harsh for these men.
Right.
Just like,
honey, let me tell you,
have self-respect.
The next guy,
right?
I think the closest relationship I got to experience is yours. And because none of my friends were in relationship. I've never really got to experience one of my friends I did it. It's kind of sad. The two friends that I got to experience a relationship both got cheated on, and was a very long-term relationship. So,
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
But girl, anyway, but it's just like, I think those two relationships, yours was one of I got to experience. And it's just like both of y'all, especially I'm talking about you now, but it's just like, you have so much love to give that I hope that the next person, and I think that it's taking time. I think God is preparing the husband that is for you, because you have so much love to give. Like, I don't even know if I pour that same love to Andy the way that you poured to your ex. I don't know. I hope I do, because
you do because it's the right one, and look where you are.
Because that was beautiful. I always said to myself, and I think your relationship kind of made me feel like I wasn't ready to be in a relationship, because I'm like, I'm selfish. Like, I saw you be so unselfish.
But when you're with the right one,
it's the right one.
I was with the wrong one.
You were with the wrong.
So I'm like, the right one.
So I like your next, like the next man that's your husband, Thati. I like hope, and I'm happy that. Not saying I'm happy that you haven't found the guy that's gonna, a guy right now, because I would hate to see one guy waste that love that I saw you pour to your ex. And none of y'all better not slide in her DM, because you hear me talking about her giving love, okay? If you're going to waste her time, don't slide in her DM, okay?
Please don't.
But
one thing...
I'm just saying, like, it's a beautiful love that you pour out. And I got to experience and see it. And it's just the same love that you pour out to your friends. It's the same love that you give to in your relationship too, and even more. So it's just like, know that you have that love and like protect that, because like that, it's such a beautiful love that not every man should experience.
Thank you. And I think this year, especially once like I said, it's a mindset thing. Once I got into this mindset, I desire my husband. I desire to be his wife. I desire to have his kids. I truly, truly, truly desire that. And it's just like, there are times I really do like get down and get sad. I'm like, damn, like, where is he? Like, oh, I just can't wait. Like, but when I tell you, like, I'm one of those people, and not everyone is like that. And I'm truly grateful for this gift I have of that. Like, if I gotta wait, I'm gonna wait. If I have to wait, I'm going to wait until he comes, and I know it's going to be so worth it. Granted, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, but I think one thing with me is that, like, even just through celibacy, what that's taught me is just like, I could desire it, but if it doesn't feel right within me, there's no point.
There's no point.
Because even Sanitizer, like, he wasn't the right one. Like, he wasn't the one for me. And I knew that going in.
Sanitizer's a guy, guys.
The guy that I broke my celibacy for.
Yes. For all the new listeners.
Yeah, all the new listeners. Go back to a couple of episodes ago. It wasn't that long ago.
You can listen to why he's called, why is his name Sanitizer.
Yeah. I don't think I told that story. I didn't tell that story on air.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, yeah, let's not tell that story.
You know why.
I know why.
But yeah, it's just kind of like, I'm willing to wait for the right one, or I'm willing to wait until I'm comfortable and I feel genuine connection. And like I said, celibacy taught me, like, it's not worth it if it's not, because I'm just like, and the thing is, it's like, there's so many guys I could have and I didn't, because baby, I don't even know if I even gave this guy a nickname on here. So I don't even know if it's worth talking about, but this guy that I could have, and baby, when I tell you I wanted to, when I tell you we've had interactions, but I didn't, because I knew if I did, I would have regretted it. Baby daddy, oh my God, that man. Still think he's fine.
I was zooming in, like, if you zoomed in my eye, you'll be like, I'm like, who is she talking about? Okay, I know that's him.
That's so long. But like, if I had with baby daddy, that would have been horrible. Like, that would have been such a horrible experience.
I would still have to be picking up the pieces now.
Like the fallout of that, because interactions still happen till this day. So it's just kind of like, if we had gone that far, baby, oh Lord Jesus. So it's just like, there's been so many opportunities where I've always listened to my heart and my gut. It's like, nope, because if you do this, you're going to regret it. Sanitizer was the only one until this day. Like I said, he screwed me over. I still don't regret it because I was at peace with whatever decision I made and how that went. So it's like, I don't got my man now. I don't got my husband now, but he's going to be worth the wait. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to meet him tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be in 10 years. God, I pray it's not in 10 years, Lord Jesus Christ. And it's easier said than done. I'm going to be honest, even though I'm 28 and that's old, for me, 28 is still so young in the journey of my life and how far I've come, that it's like, it's easier to say that now. If I don't meet him and I'm 30, is it going to be as easy? Maybe not. But I really am trying to keep the faith and the perspective that, like, it's going to happen. And that's why I'm going to this year very carefree and very not focused on, like, and I don't think I ever really was like that, but I do think there were some years more than others where I'm just like, oh my God, is it going to be this year? Is it going to be this year? And now I'm just kind of like, baby, it could be and it could not be.
Yeah, when you
it is what it is.
When you least expect it. And it's when you least expect it, and not saying you'll know, but it's different. And I think it's a different type of security. You feel safe, it feels more mature compared to other guys that you'll talk to. And it's just like, you'll get confirmation.
Yeah.
God, trust me.
And I definitely feel like, even though, like I said, I don't want to be hyper focused on it, I also do want to take responsibility in my singleness too, in terms of like, go out more, but go to different types of events, and not necessarily saying to meet a husband or meet my man, but to also just be able to be in opportunities where if it comes, I'm allowing it to come, because me staying in my room all day is not going to necessarily allow it to come. But I also I'm not going to the clubs anymore, at least not in Boston. If I'm in a different state, different country, different story. Yeah. But not here. Like, I'm going to more like events, game nights, open mics, birthday celebrations, things like that, where it's just like purposeful. Like if I'm gonna put my energy out there to potentially meet someone, I want to put my energy out there in a place where I would like to.
You'll receive it. Yeah. I think,
like
oftentimes,
if I just went at an open mic,
okay,
I do poetry. That's probably,
you'll find someone who's as creative. Yep.
Exactly.
I think oftentimes we look in the wrong places. So when I was actually serious in dating and I was like, hey, I'm going to start dating so I can find my husband, my therapist was like, so where are you going to start looking? And I was just like, oh, I usually go here and there. And she's like, well, does that align with the type of men that you are looking for? Mm-hmm. And I wanted, I wanted a man that was in the same religion as me and had the same faith base as me. So I was like, okay, I don't go to a lot of church events, so I'm not gonna, that's the best place I could find them. Let's be real. I'm not gonna find a 7-day Adventist just randomly on the street. Like, you don't find them like that. So I was like, okay, I bet. So I started jotting down like a few events that were happening in my city, and I was gonna start doing it, but hey, opportunity came, and I was like, okay, cross out, no longer need to attend these events. But I think it's like we often look in the wrong places where, the places that we're supposed to look, that's where your husband might be. So
exactly. Yeah. And guys, like, I have so much more to talk about, but me and Ellie will stay forever.
Catch part two right on the our next part, next episode.
So we're gonna wrap this episode up, but I just want to finally just say, if you're in this late 20s, early 30s age group and you're single and you kind of just, like humans, like women, we feel down, we feel like, is this ever gonna happen? I just want to just have you just look back at your whole entire life and really analyze, when did you really feel like you became your own person? Because all the years prior to that, even if you were to meet him, you guys wouldn't be together today because you weren't the person you are today. You would have sabotaged it. Yes. So anything prior to that doesn't even count as you being single, really, because you didn't even know yourself to be able to get that man. Like, you gotta be in the right place. So
I always tell my fiance this. I'm like, if you came in 2021, 2019, 2020, 2021, I probably would have laughed. Fumbled, like, probably played around with it. Yeah, let's talk. Nothing. I wouldn't have taken it so seriously. But I think I was truly ready. I was like really serious. And I knew I was ready. I feel like I had prepared myself enough. So it's just like, it's the preparation that matters too at the same time.
It definitely does. So guys, I'm just looking up our Melanin Monday because I forgot to write it down. Oh my goodness, where is it? Well, Google. Instagram don't want to cooperate with me. But I'm going to shout out to our friend Chris. So I didn't even tell him I'm doing this. So I hope he doesn't. He's not going to get mad.
I think you should surprise him. Don't tell him.
Surprise him. So shout out to our friend Chris. Chris, I love you and congratulations. And we've had so many text messages where I'm literally giving you your flowers because I'm so incredibly proud of you. So basically, we met Chris probably 2-3 years ago. No, definitely 3 to 4 years ago at this point. Yeah, and he's always been such a lovely, humble, amazing person. And Chris literally knows everybody under the sun. He knows everybody under the sun. And he's always having his summer cookouts and stuff like that. And he's such a great, amazing people person. And last year, 2023, he was starting to throw more mainstream events, not just hey, I'm having a cookout or I'm having a game night, come over, but more mainstream events. And it turned into this wonderful business venture called The Source. And basically where he gets people of color together for different type of events. So I remember his very first one, he had an open mic and I performed and he had a great turnout. So he's had open mics. He's had an ugly Christmas sweater party. He recently just had a speed dating.
Yes.
Wow.
You good?
Not me on speed dating when I'm talking about being single. Sorry, y'all. He recently had a speed dating event. And he's having another one. Look, I'm on his Instagram right now. what is it? He didn't post it yet, but he's having another one, I believe in February. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode, and we'll catch you guys on another episode of Good Luck Sis. Bye.